Welcome back to The Guardians of Lore, Chapter 15, Stormside. The cloud was hollow, just like Paphardel. I doubt that this place had a nice name of its own or any name at all. It was empty and sad. There were some deep holes among the layer of rocks that covered the ground. I imagined this cloud might be home to some nasty creatures, but nothing was there to greet us. The bat, it turned out, couldn't fly inside the cloud and started to dip the moment we entered. We hit the ground hard and skidded to a soft stop. "It's a rile," said Deli. "It's too strong for the bat to work in here." I was surprised to find that I could see fairly well. The whole place was lit by a dim red light coming from another small pond, just like in Paphardel. But this pond looked mean and gloomy. We all sensed it was probably best to whisper. "How do we get out of here? Can we push the bed back out?" I asked. "It would just suck us right back in," Deli said. "We need to carry the bed across to the other side." "You crazy?" So I said in an angry whisper. "This looks like the same place from my nightmares, and they never end well." "What do you suggest me do then?" she asked coolly. "Call up the fairies and get them to pick us up with a new bed, a king-size one this time. I'll wait here," so I said as he sat cross-legged and cross-armed. "It's not going to happen, Swai. There's no way to reach them from in here," she replied. "Well, too bad, because I'm not moving. I'm pretty positive that those holes are filled with monsters," so I responded. "And you're going to get gobbled up." "Gobbled right up. Will you talk to him, please?" Deli said, turning to me. So I was pretending to chew while he stared at Deli. "Nom nom nom" was all he would say. I sat down next to him. "Swai, I know this isn't what you signed up for when you became my best friend." He nodded dramatically. "But I need you, and those fairies need you even more than I do," I pleaded. So I wasn't moved. "If you walk across this cloud, you're going to get eaten by a green hawk monster things in those holes, and I'm not going to watch it happen." I understood now that he wasn't just angry, he was worried. Worried for me, but my mind was racing from what he had said. "So, how do you know what's in those holes?" I asked. "I told you, this place is just like the one from the nightmares I have had dozens of times. And I always get eaten," he whimpered. I looked at Deli. She heard it too. "So you're here to save us," I said. "What?" he asked. "There's a reason you had those dreams, Swai. Just like there's a reason why my bed can fly. You were always meant to be my guide. You got gobbled up in those nightmares so that we wouldn't get gobbled up in real life. You are the only one who can get us through this cloud." He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, I repeated, "The only one." He sat there for a moment, staring at the ground. Then he looked back towards the cloud wall that we just passed through. Finally, he let out a big sigh and rose to his feet. "Right," he said. "Cal, grab the other side of the mattress. Then both of you get behind me. We need to move quickly. I think I may have figured the way out last time." "Got it, Swai. I trust you," I told him. "So do I," said Deli. She jumped on the bed as we lifted it up. It wasn't heavy, but it wasn't light. From where we stood, the far end of the cloud looked at least 2 football fields away, but it was hard to tell. I started to notice that the holes weren't the only obstacles in our way. There were bumps in the ground that looked like small hills and some tall, scraggly-looking trees. It took Swai and me a minute to get our steps in sync, but once we did, we moved well together. Swai weaved the bed in between the holes deftly and periodically stopped to change course. He had made it clear that under no circumstances should we make noise. Apparently, in his dreams, making too much noise tended to get him eaten a lot. At that moment, in the dark cloud filled with Ryle, with monsters sleeping below our feet, Swai was leading us, and he was doing it well. We made it about halfway through without any trouble, but then it looked like Swai was stuck. There were 3 large holes in front of us, and a few trees to our right. I spoke softly. "What is it?" I asked. "I have seen those holes before," he whispers back, "and I never gotten past them. These are hawk monsters in each one. The middle one has the biggest." He turned to face me, bigger than a truck. Deli and I sat patiently while Swai planned our next move. He motioned for me to turn the bed on its side and led us to the skinny trees. As we squeezed between them, Swai and I were careful not to touch a single branch. I looked closely at the lowest one and realized the true danger, and what I thought was a leaf wasn't a leaf at all. It's a sleeping animal. It had long claws that wrapped around the branch 3 times, and its wings came together to form a flat surface that made it resemble a humongous leaf. It wasn't just this one creature that worried me really. It was the 500 more that were sleeping above it. Once we passed through the trees, we came to a low, rocky hill. It was steep enough to make me tired, and so I was getting winded too. When we got to the top, we had no choice but to rest for a minute. At the far foot of the hill was another hole and 2 more trees, larger than the patch we had just passed. It would be difficult, but we could make our way through if we were careful and took our time. So I laid down on bed while Deli took a moment to take stock of how much ground we had covered. I was the only one looking for wood, so I was the first one to see the light. It wasn't like any other light inside the cloud. It was a dull yellow glow coming from inside the hole at the bottom of the hill, but I knew it wasn't actually yellow. It was stone gold. "Swai, Deli," I said with a tremble. "Look." They turned in time to see Reem fly up from inside the hole, spreading his wings. He had found us. I hadn't seen his full body in the school. The auditorium wasn't large enough for him to show his full form. Reem's wings were larger than I could have possibly imagined. He was the king of dragons, and I was frozen in fear. My heart beat out of my chest, my legs locked in place. I felt smaller than I ever had before. Reem flapped his wings and sent a tornado of wind toward us. "So, this is the hero that you sent to his doom?" bellowed Reem. "The boy named Keld?" He bared his teeth and looked at me with a glint of gold in his eyes. "You will not touch him," shouted Deli. "You will not speak his name." She jumped in front of me, trying to shield me. She was no larger than one of his claws. As a frog, she could not protect me from a dragon. This was not better that she could win, but she did it all the same. I felt like I might cry. Then, without a word, Swai stepped up next to Deli, and I did. My best friend, Swai, standing between me and the dragon. Reem started to laugh, like he was happy that they had. "This would be easier than I thought," mocked Reem. "You have failed again, Delia, your hero cries." But Reem didn't understand. There are all kinds of tears. Some tears are for a sad rainy day, and some are too happy for just words. Some don't even tell why they are there. But then there are tears that have fight inside them. Those were the tears that found me. I promised myself that I would be leaving the cloud. I picked up a rock and took aim behind us. There was only one hole that I wanted to hit. When I made the baseball team last spring, I practiced throwing a ball against a wall every day after school, and it was about to pay off. I squared my shoulders and feet and brought my arm back. Hurling the rock with all my strength, I watched it fall out of sight into the hole. We didn't have to wait long. The monster came burling out within seconds. I could see why Swai had called it a hawk. Its snout was long and flat with pulsing nostrils, and I could see a long, sharp teeth even with its mouth closed. It came forward on 4 legs with a row of spikes shooting up from the top of its back. Yep, they do that, said Swai. The creature was so mad that it spit as it stomped the ground. Reem flapped his wings and flew back slightly, but not in retreat. He was laughing again. You think that a warlock will save you? What do you think was in this rock hole before I got here? They make for delicious meals, he said. The warlock, the name I had just learned, took a moment to look around and then charged up the hill towards us. Grab the bed and follow me, I yelled. We started down the hill as fast as we could. Reem was content to watch the chase unfold. It seemed to amuse him. We were almost at the bottom when the warlock reached the top of the hill. He ran straight downhill at a blistering pace. When the ground leveled off, I made Swai help me prop the bed between 2 trees. We were careful not to touch any branches. We had barely finished when the warlock closed in on us. Reem knew that he wouldn't outrun it, and he smirked. I looked at my 2 companions. When I say so, jump to the right, I said. We hid behind the bed as the warlock charged toward us with furious speed. It was 10 yards away, then 5. I could hear its angry breath from behind the mattress. Now, I yelled. We jumped out from behind the mattress, beyond the trees that held it up. The warlock saw us and tried to chase course at the last second, but it was too late. Its body went sideways, and its momentum carried it forward. Its body crashed into the trees hard enough to shake them to their roots. And that was exactly what we needed it to do. As in a single moment, every sleeping eye on the trees had opened, and the winged creatures fluttered up. Over 1,000 leafy creatures went parading into the sky. They blocked out everything else from sight, including Reem. Let's go, screamed Deli. We grabbed the bed, and Swai took the lead again. Without second-guessing, we sprinted past holes after hole. From above us, Reem let out a defending roar. I looked back for just a moment to see the creature swarming him from every angle. We were almost to the cloud's edge when the holes ahead began to come alive with noises. Warlocks were stirring inside. By the time some of the hawks started rising, we had just 3 more holes to pass. The first 2 were empty, but I saw a particularly spiky warlock poking his head out of the last one. He saw us just as we were about to pass, and we only had a second to decide what to do. Jump, shouted Swai. Swai vaulted above the warlock as it eyed me up behind him. I took 1 step straight onto the top of its head and launched myself forward. Flipping onto the bed, it chomped down on the empty air and let out a groan. As I landed, the mattress hit the ground. The warlock's hole had a slope of dirt on the other side that led directly to the cloud's edge. The mattress skid down bumpily, so I couldn't outrun it, and got scooped up when it hit his legs. Deli was between us again. Without a sound, we slid out of the dark cloud and onto the current, which had been waiting for us in the quiet night sky.